Two Jack Bros! Two Jack Bros!
Welcome back to Two Jack Bros. And of course, welcome and thank you for giving us a shot if it's your first time. I'm Sidney. I'm sitting next to Ansley.
Hello.
And today our guest is none other than the Zac Amico.
Thank you for having me, guys.
God, thank you for being here, Zac. This is going to be a really exciting day.
Yes.
Pumped about this. And before we get into it, I have to say, please go out there and do all of the things you do to show love and support to a podcast. Rate, review, especially on iTunes. And check out Zac Amico's Bye Guys podcast that he does with Ian Fidance, who you guys all loved. Mm-hmm. And he also does Midnight Spook Show, which is one of my favorite podcasts to do, where we watch horror movies and just talk about them.
Yeah, it was just people yapping over movies. Much like when you watch a movie with friends. Sometimes you talk about the movie. Sometimes you talk about anything else but.
But like way funnier friends. It's not your bullshit friends. Yeah, and then you have a cartoon.
I have a new cartoon out. It comes out on Gas Digital Network as well as YouTube every Monday. It's called Foolishly Ghoulish. It's my version of Tales from the Crypt, where I host a different spooky story every week, and it's kind of dirty, it's kind of grungy. Think somewhere between MTV Liquid Television in the 90s and like going on Newgrounds in like 2003 and watching a Flash animation. Very, very silly throwback.
Nice.
Dude, Zac does all of the coolest shit.
Yeah.
He does such cool shit.
Yeah, so I have
So
2 up
crazy.
now, 6 more coming out.
Nice.
Yeah. And Zac, are you somewhat familiar with how this podcast works at all?
I'm not, I apologize.
Hell yeah. No, that's not a problem.
Better
we
that
almost
way.
prefer it.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what we do in this podcast, the whole premise is to prove that you can have a dark, twisted sense of humor, basically your sense of humor, and still reach a higher consciousness. So what we do is we take our guests through the process of enlightenment so that us and the people watching can get a little bit closer to a higher consciousness vicariously through you.
Sounds fun.
Hell yeah. So we're just going to hop right into it because I think this is going to be a blast. Mm-hmm. So everybody gets the same questions, Zac. And the first question we'd like to ask everybody is, what situation or experience has given you the most information?
I was kind of lost for a long time. It took me a long time to find myself. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of lost years. I started doing comedy. I wasn't really committed to it. I was selling comedy tickets. I was up all night, sleeping all day, kind of living like an animal. And it had always been my dream to work for this company called Trauma Entertainment. They make low-budget horror movies. And I interned for them for a little while. It didn't really pay, and nothing was really happening. I left to go try comedy some more. Didn't really work out. And they put out an ad that said, "We're making a movie. Come audition." And I just walked in the door, and they said, "Do you have anything prepared?" I said, "No, I just want to. It's been my dream to die in one of your movies since I'm 12 years old." And they said, Do you have any talents?" I went, "I have a really good scream. I have a really high pitched, loud scream, and I'm willing to be naked." And they called me back. And then they called me back again. And they called me back again.
That's what I said to audition for Dating Ansley.
And you had better credentials. And then one day they said, "Hey, you said you would do a nude scene. Would you audition nude?" And I show up, and the Village Voice is there, filming with a photographer and cameras. And I just did it. I got completely naked, and I did this thing that in horror movies is called a brahmo puke. And that is where you take brahmo seltzer, which is like an old school Alka-Seltzer that fizzes more, and you crush it up into a powder. And then you take a Dixie cup full of water with green food coloring or whatever color you want the puke to be. And you put them both in your mouth and hold it as long as you can. And then you explode. And I've been watching people do this effect for years. So I already knew, because your instinct when you throw up on camera is to hurl your head down, because that's how you would vomit.
Yeah.
But when you do it in a movie, you want your head up and you want your eyes wide. And I knew this from years of watching these movies. So I just nail it. I explode green everywhere. They clean me up. There's a naked picture of me in the Village Voice that I don't know about that's coming out. And I'm in Times Square selling comedy tickets. I'm living with a girl at the time. I'm broke. I have nothing. I'm miserable. And I get a call from the producer of the movie. And he says, hey, we're thinking you got the part that you auditioned for. But you're a comedian, right? I go, yeah. And they go, well, we're looking for somebody to be the second assistant director. And you would basically work with all the extras. And we're going to have about 500 extras. Now, they didn't tell me that they didn't have them. And that was going to be part of my job.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to need you to work around 500 people and kind of keep them entertained all day and help direct them. And I said, yeah, I'm interested. And they went, well, we're going to shoot the movie, and I'm living in New York City. We're going to shoot the movie in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you want the job, this is a Thursday, said, we're leaving Monday morning. And I said, yeah, I'll come sign the contract. And I walked up to my boss and quit,
Yeah.
signed the contract, called the girl I was living with after and said, I'm moving to Buffalo. I'll keep paying rent until I'm back, and then we'll figure it out. And I just went on, essentially was going to be artistic boot camp,
Yeah.
where I learned how to be an artist. I went to film school, but that taught me how to meet people, I guess.
Yeah.
But I had no money, no resources. We made 2 movies for under 250 grand, back to back. And I had to get 500 extras to show up.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York. And it was just DIY, how to get people excited, how to keep people going. And we were shooting 16-hour days, and I had to keep the extras there all day for free.
Oh, my God.
And that's where I learned how to just people please and keep people going. And, you know, we'll have days where the extras have been on set for 8 hours and they haven't been used yet.
Yeah.
And what do? I got to meet everybody. I got to find out where everybody's from. I got to find out everybody's story, because even if they're not being used, if they're being given attention and they know somebody cares about them and that they're a person and not just a cog in this machine, then they're part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most important lesson I ever learned, is that everyone has their own story and everyone is important, and it all falls apart without every individual.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
How old were you when you did this?
23.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's impressive that you did all this while being naked.
So what's funny, it was a gross out high school movie.
Yeah.
And I had all these, 20-somethings that played all the high school kids. And then the scene where I'm naked, what happens is the 2 girls prank me and tell me to go into this empty classroom and that they're going to fuck me. So, and they say, take off all your clothes. So I take off all my clothes, I run in with my eyes closed, and it's a parent-teacher conference. But we had no parent-teacher extras. So I asked all the kids in the movie, do your parents want to do a scene? And I got 30 of their parents to show up, and they showed up, and I went, well, guys, here's the catch. There's going to be nudity in this scene. Is everybody okay with that? And they said yes.
They all
And I
start
went,
taking off their clothes.
yeah. And I went, well, it's me. And they went, that's fine. But then I still had to do my job.
Yeah.
So I'm still assistant directing and helping people and like doing my job, and I'm wearing a sheet
Yeah.
in between takes.
Yeah.
And I think that was designed on purpose
Yeah.
as a trial by fire, because now I've made 3, about to go on 4 movies with this company, and I think that was my torture to see if I was going to stick around.
I mean, stand-up must have been so easy after that experience.
Yeah. They're oddly similar
Yeah.
in that you're because we romanticize what we do.
Yeah.
Really, we have to keep a room full of people entertained so that they keep buying overpriced drinks until we play theaters, and then that's no longer the case. But it's crowd control. It's working with people, and it is giving people attention and keeping the flow going. And I actually did the naked show when that was still a thing at the Creek in the Cave.
Yeah.
So I was well prepared for that.
Oh, hell
I couldn't possibly give a shit.
Yeah.
And then I invented Naked Roast Battle after that.
So when you were,
You used a naked roast battle?
We do it every year at Skankfest.
Really?
yeah,
It's a calamity every time.
Yeah.
yeah. Just a real quick question about that experience. So when you were trying to keep everybody together and keep everybody just in good spirits or anything, while you were naked, did you happen to tell a joke that bombed? Like, I'm curious what it's like to bomb while naked.
It wasn't bombing, it was exhaustion, because when we make our movies, there's also a second constant film crew doing a behind the scenes feature. And I think our director at this point is aware that is what our fans want just as much as the movie. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we'll kind of catch him playing the character of the maniacal director. And he made me do 20 takes of a scene that I know we got in 5.
Yeah.
Because I was helping direct it. And I saw it. And I knew it was done. And he just kept pressing me. And at a certain point, I turned to the camera crew, the behind-the-scenes guys. I was like, I know he's fucking with me. Show him this.
Yeah.
And that, because what had happened was this one. I'm naked for a lot of the movie, but in the one scene, it's myself and the person that plays the principal, who's this amazing actor, Babette Bombshell, who hangs out with John Waters. She's a phenomenal drag actress, and this is one of her first roles playing a man. And she's also a very large person. And the bit was supposed to be I run in and we boom bump bellies and both fall on our butts. Very slapsticky.
Yeah.
And at some point, it became a game of gay chicken. Where how lurid can we make this? And I forgot I was hanging out with someone who knows John Waters.
Yeah.
So I was not going to win. And eventually it became, well, what if just you fall down to her? And then, your face is near my crotch. And then it became, well, what if I try to help you up and I accidentally teabag you? And then what if it became, I'm trying to help you up and keep smashing your face into my dick? And then once we actually do the final take, she was doing like a Richard Nixon voice the whole movie. I would do the take, and she just timed it right and opened her mouth and let my dick go in and went like a harmonica, and I jumped 8 feet in the air.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in front of a room full of
Parents.
30 parents of people I've been working with, and then a crew of about 50.
That's so wild.
Yeah, that was a harrowing shoot. We were in a abandoned funeral home that we had booked. So the reason I went up to that shoot a month early was we needed to find 3 things: an office, a special effects workshop, and living quarters for 80 people. We found that in one building, and it was an abandoned funeral home that we gutted, cleaned out, and repainted the floor so that we get an occupancy license.
Yeah.
So it was an office. Everybody slept on the floor on air mattresses or yoga mats. And then downstairs where they prepared the bodies had drains in the floor. So that was special effects.
Nice.
Sick.
But there were 4 toilets and 1 shower for 80 people. So another thing you learn, if you are not currently with someone on a movie set, find a girlfriend who lives in town, and you have a bathroom and a shower now. And I highly recommend it to anyone out of town working on a film. Keep somebody in that town.
Yeah, be charismatic.
Yeah.
You got to be charismatic. So I do like what you said earlier too about how, like make everybody feel included. Because I normally ask people to distill, like, what is that experience that they got, but you already did that, which is make everybody feel included, which is something that's really present in all the stuff that you do, which is pretty cool.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are gonna hop on, and then we're gonna open up these chakras from the bottom chakra up. You cool with that?
Yeah, of course.
Ansley, take us away.
Zach, how did you learn to overcome fear?
I don't think I have. I have a lot of anxiety, and I plow through it.
Yeah.
I still have times where I can't leave the house to go to a party, to go to a bar. I have panic attacks all the time. I'm in therapy over it, which is weird because I'm a very outgoing, flamboyant, braggadocious person.
Yeah.
I think I always just say, will you regret if you don't do this tomorrow morning when you wake up? Is this something you wish you would have done when you're old?
Yeah.
Is this something that you would have regretted skipping? And if it's a social thing, whatever. But if it's something that I care about, I got to do it.
Did you learn that? Do you have any experiences that you look back on that you didn't do that you feel like you learned the hard way? Like something that is like, I wish I would have done that. I'm not going to make that same mistake moving forward.
Yeah, when I had what I consider a lost year right out of college, where I just didn't do shit. Half looking for a job, kind of being a bum. And I think to myself, how much further along considering how much I can accomplish in a year now, if I had a head start on that, I to this day wish that I had that extra year. If I had done mics that year, if I had done more writing, if I had even gotten some bullshit job and saved a little money so I could have taken time off to go work on another thing. And I'm never going to be lazy like that. I'm almost an overworker to a fault now, I think, because of that regret.
So it is kind of funny to hear you say how much anxiety you have and how you sometimes struggle to even go to parties and stuff, because when you were talking about like your experience with that movie in Buffalo, like everything you were saying in my mind, I was like, wouldn't do that, wouldn't do that, wouldn't do that. Like, where do you? I'm just curious what your line is for what is a fearful thing to do.
It's so odd. I don't like crowds, but I'm great at crowd control.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling. I think I have boundaries with control issues. So if it's a bar or somewhere where I don't know anyone, that is scary to me. If I'm working, that's fine.
Gotcha.
If it's social, I still have major anxiety issues. Okay.
So do you have an experience like the most fear you've ever had? Do you know what that is?
It's probably just an assortment of panic attacks, and it's always malls, really crowded groups. I can't think. I've been stuck on an elevator. That's a bad one.
That's terrifying. Where were you stuck on an elevator?
I've been stuck on an elevator twice. Once at New Jersey City University. I was taking classes in high school, like during the summer, and they had shit elevators, and I got stuck with a bunch of people. And then I was in France at the Cannes Film Festival at an apartment, and there were about 7 of us on an elevator, and my friend Doug was with us, who had been there 15 years earlier promoting a movie, and they made a documentary about it, and one of the scenes is they got stuck in an elevator. And we all pile into this elevator, and we go, hope we don't get stuck in the elevator again. And it went, burnt. And I'm claustrophobic. I have anxiety, and that was probably one of the worst ones.
How long were you guys stuck in there?
An hour and a half. Not all overnight, but that's a long hour and a half.
That's a long.
I'll tell you what. The second the elevator hits, you got to pee. And you got to shit. Your body, like I have the same feeling. Like if I don't get up before my wife and I hear the bathroom door lock, just my guts drop. When the elevator hits, and you are now stuck in a 5x5 square with 6 of your friends.
Yeah,
your guts hit the floor. You got to get some real pucker control.
Ironically, that's what this chakra, the survival chakra, is the butthole chakra.
Oh, good.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, I consider that a butthole chakra unlocked, right?
Yes.
That is, goodness gracious, man. I couldn't, so I was stuck in an elevator one time for like 20 minutes. And what you say is true. Like, as soon as we realized we were stuck, we all had, it was me, a cousin, and a friend, and we all instantly had to pee. And we were like just about to, we figured out which corner of the elevator we were all going to pee. And just when just when we were like unzipping our pants,
Yeah.
you know, like somebody came in and they were like, "What are you boys doing in here?" It was, it was pretty wild.
I got trapped in a garage too. Ron Funches did a show called Get High, Watch Wrestling. And I was on my way there, and Joey Diaz had given us, or my friend Luis Gomez, what was called a Star of Death. It was a 500 milligram edible. And I just ate a corner of the star. And that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Then I went to the show, and I did my first dab. And I watched.
One second. Ansley, what is a dab?
Some sort of drug. I have to name the drug.
Mm-hmm.
Ecstasy? No.
It's when they take THC and they concentrate it into like a wax, so like weed.
Okay.
And then you light it with a torch into a metal, and it's basically like very high potency, very highly concentrated. It's like taking a lot of hits at once.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an easy way
I
to
had that
explain it,
nowhere
right?
in my Rolodex.
Yeah,
Side
yeah.
note.
I swear to God, I was hoping you were gonna.
Yeah.
Well, that's what that is. It's because you cough
Yeah.
from it.
Oh,
So that's, you know how Elmo says to cough in your wing?
Yeah.
That's what the dab dance is. It's the cough you do from taking a dab.
Go figure.
I just learned that.
Thank you.
I was hoping she was gonna do that, and I could ridicule her for the rest of the night. She would have been spot on if she did that,
Yeah.
and I would have been a bully. So
Then I went and watched Ron's show, and Mike Lawrence was on. He took me. It was very sweet of him. And then I was going back to my friend's house I was staying with, and he gave me the key to his door, but not the key to his building, which he said would be unlocked. But then that door, they were doing maintenance, so I couldn't get in. And he had already gone to bed. So he had a big garage for all the cars in the building, and I thought I could sneak in through that. And I'm the highest I've ever been. I walk through it, and the door locks behind me.
Oh, no.
So I'm just in this garage now. I called him 20 times, and his phone is, plugged in across the room. He's asleep. And then I see a smaller gate garage with like 3 cars in it. And I think that's a way out. And I go in, and that door locks behind me. So now I've locked myself in a smaller space. I've done the opposite of what I wanted.
Like Alice in Wonderland. You're like crawling through a hole in the wall.
After about 3 hours.
he ate a corner of a star
Yeah.
to a smaller room.
After about 3 hours, I was like, well, I have to piss. I'm literally like waving out the thing, yelling to people, please help me. And I was like, I have to pee. I pee out the bars.
You saw people like walk by?
Yeah.
Nobody came to help you?
I was too far away. And I peed out the bars because I didn't want to pee on anybody's car.
Yeah.
And as I'm leaning on the bars to pee, the whole gate just moved over. And I realized it was a sliding gate the entire time. And I could have just walked out. I spent 3 hours just not going.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. That's definitely a fear chakra unlocked. All right, Ansley, move us along.
So this next chakra is your pelvis. It's a little section we like to call "My Bad." It's a chance for you to offer an apology to the universe, to a person, place, or thing, to help set your karma back to 0.
Wow. What do you think about that? That's a big one, huh?
Mm.
It is. It tends to be. Yeah, and people typically have to take.
I apologize for the long.
Don't apologize. These questions, if you're not prepared for these questions, they're coming out of nowhere. You don't really get these questions very often.
I'm going to apologize to the universe that I didn't find positivity till later in life. I was kind of a curmudgeon. I bitched and moaned a lot. I complained about movies and TV shows like your typical fat basement nerd. And it took me a long time to find joy. And once I did, I think it changed me a lot, and I became a very positive person. But I wish I didn't do all the bitching and moaning that I had done, because I feel like it created a lot of negative energy. And I more or less, I wasn't putting good into the world, and I was expecting it to come back my way. So
Interesting.
I hope that through what I do, I'm making up for that. But I do offer an apology for all those years that I could have been a much better person.
How recently in your life have you found the joy?
I would actually say it's probably around the same. I would probably say in the last 9-10 years.
Okay.
Right around when I started making the movies and getting real artistic satisfaction and understanding what it was like to make people truly happy, and seeing people like helping other people achieve. I was so busy caring about my dreams that I never cared about helping other people achieve theirs. And by working on these movies and helping cast people and giving people like even little moments that where they can shine, and seeing that happiness in them, that's just as good. That's as satisfying as a feeling as hitting your dreams. And I think I spent so much time worrying about my shit. I wish I had collaborated more and been more concerned with other people, because that's just as rewarding, and it's probably a better path to what you want to do.
Now, so when you look back, before those 10 years, like the movies and shows that you saw, is there any movie or show that you saw like after you found joy, but it was from back before you found joy, and you looked at it differently, or are you like, man, this movie still fucking sucks?
Oh, there's tons of stuff that I think I was either an elitist about, or I just didn't like the kind of people that liked it. Like, this is a very weird example, but I love the artist named Gigi Allen, who played punk rock in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay. And for years, I didn't like him just because I happened to grow up with people, and the kind of people that like that kind of music were all, pseudo junkies, and jerk offs. And I just talked a lot of shit, and then I realized I loved it, and I was judging this art based on its fan base, which I think I did a lot.
Yeah.
And I think people do a lot, like, and sometimes gross and silly is so much fun. Like, I'm not going to sit and listen to Insane Clown Posse, but I don't know if there's two people that have more fun in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just like stuff like that. Like, embrace the silly. Like, being cool sucks.
I've never been cool a day in my life.
Like, there's no, like, be the silly, like, being silly and having fun. And I think, like, that's something that in around the same time period is where I figured that out. Like, don't like things based on what it makes you or the label that it is. Like, just like what you like and have as much fun liking it and doing it and being a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ansley you tried to be cool once, right?
I tried. It's hard and it's not fun. You're right. It's always like, I don't know. It's like nothing's ever good enough. And I felt like I was trying to figure out who I was for a long time. And then it was just like, wait a second. You don't have to like fit into any of these groups, right? Like, you can just,
That's when she met me.
Yeah.
I changed her life. I pulled her down from her high seat in society's hierarchy and made her one of me. Yeah. But that's all. I mean, that's a good apology. Mm-hmm. That's like, yeah. That's the pelvic chakra unlocked.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like that. Yeah. That's because you're almost apologizing to yourself from back then as well, Like,
yeah, because I could have been having a lot more fun and have been a happier person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, Ansley, keep it moving.
Zach, how do you deal with disappointment? How do you overcome it when you feel disappointed in yourself?
I try to look towards the future. I try not to be too harsh on myself. I recently went through a pretty bad depression during the pandemic. I got really heavy. I was drinking like an animal. I went into therapy. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm still dealing with the repercussions of my physical actions. And but I basically, what had happened was right when it got real bad, New York boarded up.
Right.
Because it was the fear of Black Lives Matter riots as well. And I had to go. I got called into a job I was working on, and I had to take a cab into the city, and everything was boarded up, and every sense of my being went, this is the apocalypse.
Yeah.
This is it. Society's done. Comedy's over. Movies are done. Everything you do is obsolete, and your life's over.
Yeah.
And then I started having like apocalypse dreams, and I went into like a massive depression. And my wife got me into therapy, and that's been a huge deal. And now I can kind of like, through a combination of like, I'm lucky in that I've come up in comedy in an era where I have a lot of videos of the good things that have happened to me, as well as like I have movies and I have footage of some of my greatest achievements. So I can watch that without being like Al Bundy watching himself play football in high school. Like I can look at that and look forward to it, as well as I can say.
You still have your hand on your pants, though, right?
Of course. Yeah. And my wife is still begging for sex. And I can do that and remember like all the good stuff, as well as kind of look forward to more stuff in the future. And I recently lost a couple friends in the last few years through a varying degree of ways. And now, like, we're about to make a movie that's dedicated to one of them.
Oh, hell yeah.
He had shot a proof of concept for it and passed away, but we have all the footage that we can edit him into it and
that's
finish
cool.
his movie.
Yeah.
And I'm about to leave and go. I'm about to go to Nashville in 2 months and go make it. And now, like, that to me is like the ultimate, like, I can look past anything. If I'm going to get to do that, that's like one of the greatest privileges in the world.
Yeah, if you can remember one of your apocalypse dreams. I'm very curious about these apocalypse
Everything
dreams.
was that. So, like, I know this is a very cliche thing, but, like, I grew up in Secaucus, New Jersey. I'm right over the Hudson River. I watched 9/11 out my classroom window.
Wow.
We didn't look at the TV. My dad was there. My dad drove over the bridge to start helping with rescue stuff, and we didn't hear from him for 12 hours. We thought he died.
Wow.
So I thought I watched my dad die out the window. I've never talked about this until recently. He drove into the city, and he was part of a kayak club, and he broke into a kayak club, tore all the gates down, and turned it into a makeshift ferry to evacuate people.
Wow.
There's like a museum piece about him, and it's incredible, and I really admire him about it. But, I mean, I smelled like my wife grew up in New York too, and like we've had a conversation. Like, I remember what 9/11 smelled like.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing. And I think there's going to be more and more people from my generation and a few other generations that have recurring apocalypse and terrorist fears. And I have lots of, when I'm in a bad mental state, my apocalypse dreams are buildings falling, bomb squad, like bombs, war footage, like shit kind of like that. And yeah, that's a big part of like when I get real depressed.
Yeah.
That's what my dreams are.
I think I was hoping for like a Mad Max Fury Road with you.
Oh,
and
no, that
nipple
sounds
clamps
great.
And, like, like holding the head of somebody on a spike. Like,
Yeah, no, they're very standard.
yeah,
The world is over and everything's falling down.
like the scary apocalypse.
Yeah. I have lots of dreams about, and it is just because I saw it out the window. I have lots of dreams of watching either New York or a random skyline fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have like apocalypse fantasies when I was in high school, or it was just like terrorists come take over the school, and then I have to like climb in like the ducks and stuff and like get like save people.
Yeah.
and it was like, but I never knew how to get actually out of the school. And that was what made it a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I didn't know enough about infrastructure
Just stuck
to
in
actually get
ductworks.
people out of the building. So it was, that's my apocalypse dreams. But yeah, man, that is a fucking disappointment chakra unlocked.
Yeah. Did you have any feelings towards your dad? Like, yay, he's a hero. He's going to save people. But it's also like, man, he just went across that bridge. And you said for a time, like, you guys didn't think you were going to see him again.
No, I had no resentment. I don't think he had a choice.
Really?
That's just kind of the dude he is.
Yeah.
Personally, a different person came home.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever been the same. It's so funny. I just said this on another show. I don't know what he saw.
Yeah.
But have you ever met an old person that was like in a war and they don't talk about it?
Yeah.
I don't know what he saw. I think he saw it.
Yeah.
He saw whatever the shit was, the fallen whatever.
Yeah.
He saw it. And yeah, a different guy came home.
Yeah.
He saw your apocalypse dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Things were sure. He was odd for a while, and looking, it was strained. It was a strained relationship for a while at the time because he was so different and dark. But in retrospect, of course, you have to understand that that's so traumatizing and horrible. Mm-hmm. But when you're a kid, you're confused and don't know where to direct those feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but the question that popped in my mind when you said he was like confused and dark was like, did he start dressing like you? Start painting his nails black?
No, he just left my mom.
That's a man from a different century, like a different era.
Yeah.
You get depressed.
He sold his business and got divorced.
Yeah.
Within months.
Really?
I think it was like if he was gonna have a midlife crisis, I think it sped it the fuck up.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Ansley, keep it moving.
So now we're at the heart chakra. What have you learned from grief?
All right, we just got done doing Zach's Patreon episode of Two Jack Bros After Dark. All of our content exclusively for $1. That's not what I wanted to say. All of our exclusive content for $1. Also, you can pay whatever you want, and we appreciate whatever you are willing to donate to our Patreon. Get in there. Zach, did you have fun doing a Patreon?
It was an absolute blast. I can't thank you guys enough for having me.
Absolutely. $1 gets you in there. And for that $1, you get our bonus episode to Two Jack Bros, which we call Two Jack Bros After Dark, where we enlighten our guest shadow self. Ooh. As well as our fight commentary and analysis of Ansley's jiu-jitsu matches. Now, let's get back to the show and find out what Zach has learned from grief.
I'm going to go back to the movie that I'm going to go make. I learned to appreciate every conversation you have with somebody. And I have a lot of friendships where I'm really lucky because I don't think guys say I love you enough. And I have a number of guy friends that when we talk, we say I love you. And we lost we lost our buddy probably about a year ago now. And it came out of nowhere, but it kind of didn't. It was really bad. It was devastating. And I just, of course you wish you had had more conversations. You wish, the last time we talked was a bunch of bullshit. Just, not mean or anything, but we were just talking shit.
Yeah.
But the one thing I got out of it, and I think this is a really important thing, is A, how important humor is and how important friendship is. Because when he died, we had a group chat where we just talked shit about these like three people who happened to be trauma fans of the movie company who drove us nuts. And we just had a group chat where we constantly took screenshots of them like being annoying or how much they drove us nuts. And it was me, him, and like three other guys. And the first thing I did when he died was go, I'm not ending this fucking group chat and I'm not taking him out of it.
Yeah.
So we just still do it. Like every week we're posting in this group chat, and it makes me feel a lot better. And so it was him and another guy in the group chat. What happened was awful. He passed away, and the other guy was disfigured. And it was the day of or the day after what happened. And I texted the group chat. It was my friend Derek. And I texted it to the group chat. Well, Derek, luckily you weren't that handsome in the first place. And I went, this is either going to be the worst thing I've ever done, and I'm about to lose 4 friends on top of my friend dying, or I'm going to let a little air out of this.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And while we lost our buddy, I feel like he'd be so happy that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that we're still like, because I can't imagine having that chat without him in it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice, and it kind of like, it is like a weird feeling of that, like I get to have my buddy around, because in this weird way, he's still in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't got to worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you ever, like, sometimes, like, when you guys are going back and forth, do you ever, like, imagine the types of things that he would be responding?
100%.
Yeah.
He would. Dude, he was so fucking fun. So the movie company I work for, Trauma, we've been in business for over 40 years, and we have wild fans, and a lot of them are on all sorts of spectrums, and they're unique characters. You could put a Howard Stern whack pack together of our fans in about 8 seconds, and he would play multiple characters and represent. He played a lawyer representing himself, and got into an email exchange with this guy who was in one movie and wanted to sell 8x10s of himself because he thought he was a celebrity now. So our friend posed as a lawyer representing himself as another character and tried to buy bulk 8x10s from this guy and was sending us the legal correspondence. And it's the happiest I've ever been. And he did it for no one. Yeah. It wasn't published. He didn't do anything with it. It was for the chat.
That is fun. It is fun to like not make fun of, like, but just like tease those types of people that like.
It's
like
not even teasing. It's just so that same right after my friend passed, that guy, unbeknownst, posted as our big famous movie is Toxic Avenger. That guy is briefly in the Toxic Avenger for one scene, and he has been milking it for 35 years. He plays a kid that's in one scene in the movie, and anytime anybody talks about our company, he somehow finds them and messages them to say, I was Skippy in the Toxic Avenger. So he put one of our VHSs on sale in an online group, and it's a VHS that on eBay sells for like $5, and he signed it and wanted $90 for it. So in spirit of our friend, I said, I got this one. And I went, I'll give you $3.50. And he goes, $3.50.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't seem to understand. I am the star of this film, and I've autographed it. And I just write back, you wrote on it? $2.
That's hilarious. Also, you guys did the Toxic Avenger?
Trauma's well, I mean, that's way before my time.
Of course.
Yeah, Trauma's famous. I have the hat on.
Yeah.
And I have him right here. Yes, our most famous movie was the Toxic Avenger in 84.
Do you know the Toxic Avenger? Mm-mm. That movie, I mean, that was one of the first so I saw that movie on USA Up All Night.
Mm-hmm. That's where many people found Trauma.
Right?
They had a ton of our movies up then.
That is wild.
I did love USA Up All Night, but I'd stick to the girl. Like, I don't know.
The Toxic Avenger was like the first like campy, like I wouldn't even call it a horror movie.
It's a horror comedy.
Yeah,
that's what we mainly do. I've been lucky enough that I've gotten to play. I played Fat Toxie in a VR movie that we shot, and that's actually one of the things is when we make movies. We have all these extras, and we'll have up to 300-400 people on set that are waiting for their turn. And we always have a Toxie outfit with the nice mask and everything. So I'll find somebody of the right build. And that's a great way to kill 4 hours because they're all trauma fans. I'll dress up a big muscular guy as Toxie. He's not shooting that day. He's taking pictures with people because then everybody has something they could take home for. It's just that extra little feel special thing.
Yeah.
And that was something I created that, and I came up with memorabilia raffles. So whatever movie we're doing, I set aside shit so that for the next movie, I have props to give away at raffles. But you can only be in the raffle if you stayed to the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart.
That's how you get people to stick around.
Yeah.
So, Ansley, I'll say this. The Toxic Avenger is almost like a superhero movie as well.
He's
right?
the world's first superhero from New Jersey. He was a 95-pound weakling who was exposed to nuclear radiation, who became a hero of superhuman size and strength.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's a nerd who is being tortured. He jumps out the window of a gym and lands in a vat of toxic waste
Of course.
and becomes a giant monster who marries a blind girl like Frankenstein.
Yeah. Why was that vat of toxic waste even? It was like a little pond.
Right.
It was a
outside
truck
the
full
school.
of barrels.
Oh, yeah.
It was New Jersey.
And then they unloaded him, right?
No, they were doing coke in the truck and they parked in front of the gym.
Yeah. Holy shit. But I thought, I always, when I think back of that movie, I feel like I imagine him emerging out of like a pond of toxic
You may be
waste.
thinking of Swamp Thing.
Damn it, I fucked up. Did you guys do Swamp Thing too?
No, Swamp Thing is not ours. But we get Swamp Thing, and everyone thinks Toxic Avenger is Sloth from the Goonies because they both have one eye here and one eye there.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. Well, that is a grief chakra unlocked.
Yes.
And Ansley, move us along.
We are now to the throat chakra. What's a favorite lie that you have told? And you get extra karmic points if it's still in rotation.
I love to stretch the truth. I love to massage a story. What's a good lie?
By the way, you're the first comedian to admit to that outright. Everybody we ask that is like, oh, I don't like to lie. I mean, I never really lie. And then they tell us like the most heinous fucking lie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it. I don't know if I make up lies as much as like I love if someone has the wrong information, I love to go with it. Like if somebody's like, "Hey Scott," I'm like, "What's up?" I'm trying to think what's a really good one. I mean, some heinous ones. Back when I played music, I used to be in a goth band, and I would love to search MySpace for girls who liked my band, add them, and then pretend like I didn't know they liked my band. Like, you like my band? That's crazy. We should hang out. Shit, I'm trying to think of a really good one. I mean, you always... What's a really... This is hard for me. Because I admit that I'll go with anything because if it's funny. Fuck.
Yeah, this is
This is a tough one for me. I
the first
apologize.
case of too many to choose from.
Yeah.
What have I said? Oh, so there was a guy in our movie company, Joe Flyshaker, who was the world's largest action star. He was about 500 pounds, and he was an actor in movies we had done from the 80s up until the 2000s when he passed away. And now, as another very large person who works for the company, I occasionally will be compared to him. One time I was mistaken for him, and it broke my heart because he was 40 years older than me and about 150 pounds heavier. But regardless, I had a mask on. That's how I'll justify it. So he passed away, and we had a party for him. We had a memorial party for him at a bar, and it was a go-go bar. It was the go-go bar I drink at, Lucky 13's. And there was a screening room in the back where we showed clips of him, and people went up and spoke. And I've been joking for years. So there's two bosses in our company. Lloyd and Michael. Michael will not appear on camera. And Michael's very buff, very concerned with his health, works out, eats great. As a joke, they started having Joe play Michael in everything. So everyone thinks Michael is this 500-pound man.
That's hilarious.
So then when we started doing press for our movies, nobody knew who I was. So I would go, "Hi, I'm Michael Hirsch Jr." And because Michael doesn't like me. And I would talk to newspapers and websites and magazines, and they'd go, "What's your name?" I would go, "Michael Hirsch Jr. Very nice to meet you." And it would be in print. And it was just a way to piss off Michael. So at his funeral, everyone's speaking, and I'm on stage just with the company, and somebody hands me the mic, and I basically do a small version of that. I go, "Listen, I've kind of been pretending more or less to be Joe's son, so this does hurt my feelings a lot, and, I hope I can continue on his legacy in trauma films." I walk outside, and all the strippers that were working the front of the go-go bar came up and went, "We didn't know this was your father's funeral." And I went, "Thank you so much." And I stuck with it all night.
So are there people that still believe you're his son?
Oh, yeah, tons.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
played on that one quite a bit.
Yeah. I also love it that you have a job where, you have a boss that doesn't like you and you just fuck with them and then you're still employed.
Well, yeah, it's a matter of who can do it and who wants to do it.
Yeah.
And those Venn diagrams have such a slim margin.
That's so. I mean, it's like the entertainment industry. Is
Also,
so
he doesn't like any. I should make it very clear. He doesn't like anyone
Gotcha.
that walks in the door. He's been over it. He retired creatively in 1992. And we made a movie called Sergeant Kabuki Man that was supposed to be basically our foray into the mainstream.
Yeah.
And think of it, it was basically pitched as a multicultural Technicolor Batman, where a cop gets kabuki powers. I have them on the back of my arm. Cop gets kabuki powers and becomes a superhero. And the company that made Pac-Man, Gaga Communications, paid for it with the intention of this is going to be a big American franchise. But then they made a trauma movie. So there's snakes going up people's butts and ladies getting thrown out of windows. So it bombs. And Michael said, "Never again." So he's basically just been sitting in an office since 1992 going, "I can't wait to be done with this shit."
Sick.
Nice.
Sick. That's a good lie.
Yeah.
That was a
Good
fun
lie.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
It's not as much as like I'm lying, as much as if information is presented to me, I am very willing to go along with it if it will be funny.
That is, but I think that is still karmically a lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our kids wouldn't get away with that.
Nah. Yeah. That's man. That's the through chakra unlocked. Ansley, keep us moving.
All right. So we're to the third eye chakra. So what's something you thought was separate, and now you're learning it is the same?
Yeah. So we're out of the physical chakras. We're into the metaphysical chakras now.
Something that's separate but is the same. I'm going to go back to something I said earlier, which is your joy and the people around you's joy. Because helping other people find their joy is how you find yours.
That was a strong message. I think that's gonna stick with me after this podcast.
Yeah. That is. I mean, there's almost nothing more to say about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, help people find joy. Now, what is I guess what I'm gonna ask is like, is there an experience of helping somebody find joy that was the most joyous for you?
I mean, it's always making the movies, helping people find, their dream part or having their little cameo. But even, I feel like I was very bitter, and this carried on for a long time. I was kind of bitter to be so stagnant in comedy for a long time. And I was mad that there were people that I was in my head thinking I was doing better than on stage, and then just watching them blow by me with opportunities. And then I started to get a little, and I started to have a different attitude. And I took a beating for a while. And I probably wasn't the most pleasant person. And then I stopped wanting what other people had. Mm-hmm. And now I'm so happy when anybody gets anything. I don't care if they've been doing comedy way less than me. I don't care if I don't think they're fucking funny. I'm happy when anybody gets anything because it's a good thing because it's comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I'm so like anytime I would never be the kind of like anytime I see somebody get a special or even like the littlest thing, like I'm over the moon for like in particular like watching Rosebud Baker in the last few years go from somebody who was kind of like a side character to somebody who's fucking killing it. And she's so funny and she's so down to earth and she's so sweet. And to watch her go from roast battling me to having a fucking hour special in such a small amount of time, I'm just like, there's no bitterness. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of Rosie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And more and more as I get older and the longer I've been in comedy, I'm just fucking happy for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, I don't fucking care what I have or what I got. Like, I'm so happy to be among these people.
What about like there has to be people that you don't particularly enjoy, like in like
yeah,
watching
but then that's
them?
not for me.
Yeah.
Like I like when people don't like a movie or a TV show. It's like shit that wasn't for you. You know, when grown-ups complain about comic book movies, gee, I bet that was for a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like that's just it's not everything is for you. Not every job's for me. Not every gig's for me. There's plenty of comics where I watch it and I'm like, well, this is horse shit. But if it makes the people happy, then who the fuck am I to judge?
Yeah.
I watch, and yeah, obviously it's a cliche answer with this too, but like you watch Nanette, and I watch that and I go, I could pause this in any of her jokes and tell you what the punchline's going to be because it's fucking rudimentary, and she's being hailed as a brilliant writer, but that's not for me.
Right. Right.
It's not for me. I get it. And we shouldn't be bitter about it because it is for people. And if it makes them laugh and it makes them happy, fucking let them have it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't watch Nanette. I mean, I started it and it was like I realized that she probably like wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, I'm not gonna keep watching this. It's not for me. It's like I watch comedy to laugh. Like I don't watch comedy to judge whether or not a comedy special was good. That's not for me to do. I watch comedy specifically to laugh.
Sometimes I'll watch stuff just to like try and interpret it. Mm-hmm. Like I love watching Lavelle Crawford because I don't understand it. I don't know where the punchlines are, yeah. And I don't know what he's saying. And it's my favorite. There's so many times because I remember we're flipping through Netflix and my wife saw Lavelle Crawford and she's like, "Isn't that Huel from Breaking Bad?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Let's watch that." I'm like, "Honey, this is going to be way blacker than you're expecting. This is going to be like Chitlin circuit comedy." Yeah. And she's like, I'll get it. And he's like, when you go to mom's house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then she bring out the vegetables, the bacon, the pumpkin pie. And there's no punchlines. It's just a man talking about food.
Yeah.
And she didn't get it. And I was like, oh no, you made us put this on. We're fucking watching it.
Yeah, that's funny because like every time I get a chance to see Lavelle Crawford live,
I'm sure he's great live,
and I have no idea why I'm losing my mind laughing, and I have no idea what I'm laughing at. It's a great time. He's a great time, but like you said, like half the time, he like starts he's mumbly,
yeah,
and you don't know what the fuck he's saying,
yeah,
but like. You knew the direction he was going because he set it up so well. You're like, I'm sure it was funny. It's just, yeah, Lavelle Crawford's the man. But yeah, that's I like that. I like your crown chakra. Oh no, that was the third eye chakra.
Yeah,
yeah, it was a great. Your joy and other people's joy. Same thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Mm-hmm. Write that down and keep me happy. All right, Ansley.
And now the crown chakra. So this is a 2-part question. What is one thing you can't give up and why? That's the first part. And what would giving it up mean?
Music. I feel it really centers me. It keeps my day going. It keeps me from freaking out. It helps me sleep. It helps me wake up. It helps keep me motivated. There's no the most. I saw Weird Al Yankovic when I was 12 years old. I am going to see him again soon.
Nice.
I will see him every tour until he stops touring or I die, which is probably a good bet to take. That's a unrequited happiness.
Yeah.
For me to, I've been, when they go, would you rather be blind or deaf? I think I would have to go blind, which as a filmmaker is a weird thing to say, but the idea of nothingness at night, because I can close my eyes, I don't close my ears.
Yeah.
The idea of not being able to disappear into a record. And I've recently, in the last few years, become like a big vinyl collector. Also, that's because I'm paranoid that, when you buy something on a movie or a record on Amazon, you know you don't own it. They could take it back away from you. It's in the contract that they still own it, and you're just permanently renting it. Mm-hmm. And as music becomes all digital, I am terrified of one day somebody doing something wrong or a record company just going, oh, that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So now I insist on having all my favorite things on vinyl. But yeah, the idea of being able to fall back and just enjoy a beginning to end record is probably one of my favorite things. And the idea of giving it up, that's the second question, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I would be on edge. I would feel a massive hole in my heart. There would be something missing from my life and my ability to function. I write to music. I have music on a lot of my day. I feel like it's almost a form of communication. I drove up here to Philly with Louis J. Gomez, my co-host on Real House Podcast yesterday, and we just listened to the first System of a Down record. We've never had a conversation about it. We knew every word to every song. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to talk for the whole, with Louis, we talk fucking 3 times a week for an hour and a half, so we don't really have anything left to say to each other as it is. But just sitting with your buddy and singing a record like morons, like we're 12 years old. Yeah. And we stole a car. And it's such like a joy and camaraderie to or go to a concert and to sing a song with strangers. Yeah. To be in a room, with 300 people singing a song, or to be in an arena with 20,000 people singing a song. You're all connected. And I feel like without music, I would lose a part of my connection to the world and the universe.
What you said you were in a band. What'd you play?
Synthesizers.
Okay.
We were had a number of genres we kind of went through. We played goth clubs mostly, but we kind of settled on this very weird genre that never really took off. It was a thing in LA in the early 80s called synth punk. And it was like a punk rock band, but all keyboards. Okay.
Wait, you know what a synthesizer is?
I don't know.
Keyboards. Keyboards.
Are those accurate sounds for a synthesizer?
Yeah, that's about right. That's about it. Okay. And I still play. I don't play in a band anymore, but that is like one of my stress relievers. I have all my keyboards set up in the house.
Nice.
Hell yeah, Zach, that was it. How do you feel?
Very good, thank you.
You feel enlightened?
Yeah, that was really nice. Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I even forgot to say this, but yeah, donate to our Patreon. Join our Patreon, because we're about to take Zach and put him in the Patreon and enlighten his shadow self, because that's what we do. Because this regular Patreon is above. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The regular episode is above. The Patreon is below. As above is below. And we're about to get there. Mm-hmm. Zach, anywhere you want to direct people?
Oh, yeah. Just Instagram, Zach is not funny. My backup Twitter, because my regular Twitter is down, is ZA Spook Show. And yeah, please check out Foolishly Ghoulish, my cartoon up on YouTube.
All right. And, March 12th, I'll be at the Camden Waterfront Theater. You guys got to go there. I'll be headlining. I wasn't supposed to be headlining, but the other guy had to drop out. And now I'm going to be headlining. And please don't have me headlining in an empty theater. I would really appreciate that. And, donate to this Patreon. $1 gets you all of our exclusive content. And we love you guys, and we're out.
See ya.
To Jack Rose.